Okay. So, Mr. Morgan, welcome to Mexico.
Hola. Thanks. Yeah, man. It's definitely good to be here. It's my first time down here, so a little bit of a culture shock, I must say, being a little different from the States. But it's definitely I'm liking the weather, to be honest with you. So it is nice to be here. So nice to finally to really get in front and meet you formally here.
Yeah, glad to have you down here. Yeah, the weather is great down here. It's something we really enjoy here. And if you get a chance while you're down here, you should take in a football game while you're down here.
For
Pick your
sure, for
spot.
sure. I know my kids are they're starting to really begin their American or I'm sorry the football the soccer game in the States. So definitely something I'm learning and definitely something that I would love to bring them down here for a game for sure.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. And again, yeah, welcome. Yeah, it is a little bit different from the States down here. So, yeah, we've got some different culture and foods, and hopefully you get to experience all of that.
Definitely, definitely. Well, well, all right. Well, like I said, I definitely want to. It's going to be our first time we meet for sure, and definitely first time we see each other. I know I'm relatively new to the organization, took over for Alan, and basically want to get down here and just kind of talk about the operation, see what we have going down here, some talk about potential ways we can streamline some of the processes and maximize our efficiency down here in Mexico, and ultimately bring the overall revenue and money stream and maximize that potential for our company here. So obviously it's a joint venture here and joint relationship. So we want to continue that on and definitely want to make sure we do all we can to maximize the dollar.
Absolutely, that's partnership. That's what we're looking for down here, and I would agree. I would agree. What did Alan retire? I didn't hear. Did he step
He
away?
he yeah, he stepped away from the company. He took another job with complete something completely unrelated to the industry. So really took us kind of for a loop to say the least. But I have all the notes that he put together based on the current and past experiences. So and kind of his plans he had in place before he left. So um, basically, I'm stepping right in from everything he had planned.
Okay, great, great. All right, that sounds like a plan. So, um, yeah. So go ahead and what are we looking for here?
Sure. So basically, what I wanted to talk through here is just a few things that I had in mind. To kind of want to review, kind of piece by piece, what the different areas I feel like we can maximize our potential. First things first. Obviously, we know sales are a little down compared to what we kind of started off with. We saw some great growth early in the first 9 months, and obviously with some of the economy not being too great down there with the loss of value with the peso, we definitely saw our sales decrease quite substantially. So I think first things first, we can definitely look to see what we can do to improve our numbers on on the sales staff. I know there were a couple suggestions from Alan that we would to increase that staff to increase our sales numbers. So that's the first thing. Again, I just want to go bullet by bullet here before we kind of leave it for more or less discussions, if you will.
Okay.
The office staff, I definitely think we can look at possibly making some moves and some changes in the office as well. Um, I know your brother Jose is working in there, and we think that we could utilize his talents potentially elsewhere in the organization to help maximize the overall efficiency. So that's one thing we can potentially do. And then also a couple other points, the sales compensation, right? So right now, the way the sales team is compensated, it more or less goes into a bucket from the commission funds that we provide to you all for the Mexico location. We feel like we could more or less, as opposed to having it in a pool of money for the entire staff, that we really focus in and really incentivize our sellers to um, to sell more and make more with their sales, and really all that commission will go towards the sales volume, if you will, of the sellers outside of everybody receiving the bucket. As for example, the strong sellers will be receiving the same amount as those that might be on the low end of of the overall sales revenue and dollars sold. So that's another area. And then finally, one of the other things I want to talk about is the overall labor in the Guadalajara location. Really, we understand that that's where it's more or less an assembly line structure down there. We feel like that we could potentially move or potentially think about potentially getting rid of a few employees down there. Based on our overall numbers and expenses, we want to more or less, so with sales being down, we want to lower our expenses. So at a very high level, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And I know we're just in the early parts of our meeting and discussions, and we're definitely flexible in trying to come up with an ideal solution to fit, more or less make everything more efficient down here. So at a high level, that's kind of what I want to start with, and we can go from there. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's good to start with. I mean, there are some things I think we definitely need to address. The culture is different down here than it is in the States.
Sure.
So there are some reasons why we do things, and some things that I may agree with, and we'll see where we can go from there.
Okay. So first thing, let's start with the overall sales staff. So again, numbers are down, right, for sales. A couple of the things that I'm thinking specifically with our staffing in that department is increasing it by 2 and ideally 3 sellers, right? And to do that, obviously we've discussed potentially it's been jumped around, not me personally, but you discussed with Alan potentially upping the advertisement dollars, right, to help maybe get more information out to the public to hopefully bring in more dollars, right? But unfortunately, we believe here, of course, based on my 25 plus years of experience in sales, that we need more people out in the field. We need more people out in the field and pushing that, as opposed to crossing our fingers and hoping that our advertisement money will go and bring in more dollars. It's not a guarantee, and we feel like we can really incentivize our sellers based on that new commission, which we'll get into later on here. But really increasing our sellers by ideally 3 and possibly 2, and we can discuss that a little more. And also on the training side of things, where we can get some of that money back to help potentially pay for those additional sellers, is removing one of those trainers, because right now, if we don't have the volume of sales to keep the amount of trainers that we have on staff. So I'm going to start there and kind of get your thoughts on kind of what I just proposed, and we'll go from there.
Well, I don't know if I would completely agree with you there. I have some sellers, but then I have some helpers as well that I think are more than capable of stepping forward and helping with these sales. I don't know that we need to hire anybody new. It looks bad down here if you hire people and then quickly turn around and let them go.
Sure.
We have to pay compensation for that. On top of that, there are some. It's common down here to give Christmas bonuses, and that's 2 to 4 weeks of salary. So any added employees that we may not need on staff is additional money going out. I feel that with the staff we currently have, that we can take the junior sales that are helping the major salespeople and put them in the field, and instead of hiring people, put that money toward promotions, toward advertisement. I think getting the name out there a little bit more would help out more than hiring some additional staff.
Right. No, and I understand that completely, right? And it's not my goal to lay people off. That's not what I intend to do, because I understand that it's a livelihood and you got to provide for your family, right? But that being said, I really want to move away and shy away from the advertisement dollars, because, like I said, if that's more or less the status quo of what we're doing today, and it's just not cutting it, quite frankly, we're losing money, and if we have more people in the field actually pushing those sales and educating the public firsthand, face to face, comparative to turning on the TV, to handing out flyers, to putting out radio ads, things like that, it's not working right now. So essentially, we got to try something different. Otherwise, we're this operation in Mexico and the overall company as a whole, we're going to fall, right? So I understand that. I don't think the advertisement's the way to go, and quite frankly, I'm not comfortable signing off on that. So what we can do, right? So we have 6 sellers right now. I want to look to potentially add 2, ideally 3 sellers. We have a receptionist.
Hello. Hello. Caleb, I lost you. Caleb, I lost you. Can you hear me?